Okay, I'd like to call Ellis County Commission meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to thank everyone for coming, all five, but that's fine. We have somebody in the audience. If you could call roll, please, Bobby.
Commissioner Nathan Liker.
Here.
Chair Neil Younger.
Here.
Commissioner Michael Burgess.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. Order of business, the only item that we have will be eliminated 7. We'll table that at a different date for road vacating. And we will have one executive session. So, gentlemen, did you get a chance to look at the minutes?
Prior minutes look good.
Okay. How about the consent agenda? Everybody?
It looked
Okay.
good.
Okay.
I'll move to approve consent agenda items A through G.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Anyone from the audience that's not on the, okay?
Oh, Neil, here. You got a hand go up.
Could you ask if someone?
If someone
Yes.
had any issues from, uh-huh,
Okay, sorry, I couldn't hear back here.
okay, sorry.
Yes, I would like to be.
Okay, come on up.
Okay, that was quick. My name is Diana Pantel. One thing I noticed about this commission is 50% of the demographic in Ellis County is not represented, so I may have to run for county commissioner. I'm just saying. The reason I'm here today is because of the constitutional right to vote, and I've become aware that there is a push to have a polling place on campus, and I am in favor of expanding the rights to vote for all of our citizens, and I believe that having such a place would allow all of those in the community, not just the students, to have better access to vote. Maybe they cannot get down to the offices during the voting times. I know that there is early voting. I take advantage of that myself, and people are allowed to come in as much as 2 weeks early. There is all absentee ballot voting, and that may seem enough, and I do not want to turn anybody in this commission off right now, but I recently moved to Hayes, as in 6 years ago, from Colorado, where we have strictly mail-in ballots for years. I cannot remember until I moved to Kansas when I actually had to go to a polling place to vote. I think expanding the right to vote is one of the most important pieces of legislation, if you will, that any governmental entity can take on. When I was at, you may or may not know that I ran for city commission, and during that forum, it was brought up ways to bring more population to Hayes. I don't know that we can necessarily expand beyond our 21,000, but I think it's also important we do not lose that 21,000. And one of the ways that several of the commission candidates brought up to do that would be to attract Fort Hayes students to stay in this community after they graduate. And by allowing them a polling place on campus, showing them that their vote matters, it might be just such a simple way as that to attract them to stay in this area. And as we know, our population is aging. We need younger people. And if it's just that simple, then I think we should approach that idea. Maybe it's thought that there would not be enough poll workers, but I have a feeling that if you were to have a polling place on campus, there would be plenty of volunteers within that community who would staff that position when the vote comes. On the other end of the demographic, those people who are confined to their homes as well as older residents, I think by having an approved mail-in ballot that is very easy to obtain for nursing home residents, those who are stay-at-home, would also be another way to allow people to know their vote matters. Maybe it's simple as taking the ballots or mailing the ballots to these residents, and then having someone pick up all of them at one point and dropping them all off. Having someone, I see Bobby shaking her head,
It's illegal to do that.
oh, that you have to actually come down.
No, there can't be, can I go ahead and speak?
Sure.
Okay, Bobby Drowning, County Clerk. There's a law that you can't have more than 10 ballots be dropped off at one time. So if a nursing home would have 50 ballots given to them, those 50 cannot be brought back
But they
at
can
one
come in
time.
groups of 10.
They can come in groups of 10, so it would take.
And
like I
would it be
said,
possible to have a drop-off box closer to their location?
I just have the one drop box right here, and most of the residents will either they bring them back by themselves, or they have someone with the nursing home bring them back, or they mail them back. But
Okay.
I just have the one drop box in the alley, and it is utilized a lot.
I know I drop my own ballot off there when I don't
Okay.
early vote. So I just think that whatever you can do to allowing someone to exercise their constitutional right easier is very beneficial to the population of your county or the whole country. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Nash.
You.
Okay, how about the monthly financial report?
Monthly financials look good.
Okay.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, Historical Society update. Amanda?
Well prepared today, see? Hello, thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Amanda Rupp with the Ellis County Historical Society. I love coming and telling all the wonderful things that we're doing. If you haven't seen it in some of the press releases or such, and I'm late on our latest newsletter that I'm sure you wait for so eagerly. It has a lot of news in it, but just to kind of update you guys since summer of what we've been up to and spending our money wisely. We have had a busy fall. We had a traveling exhibit that originated in Germany, but has been borrowed from Lincoln, Nebraska, dealing with the Volga Germans culture around here, and that saw over 200 visitors in the fall, not including our special visitors. We had 3 high school classes from Hayes High that were German classes come and visit it. That also includes that does not include the about 120 Kansas Museum Association conference visitors that we had come through earlier in November. And so it was really nice to see our facilities, though they're not open, being utilized so eagerly. So we have had a lot of, and we've also hosted 3 Kansas Humanities speakers, or Humanities Kansas speakers, this fall. So on a variety of different topics, on language, on music history, on the railroad industry, and all of those have seen, between 20 and 30 patrons with us each time. So we're utilizing that space downstairs very well. The next traveling exhibit that we will be having will be in the summer. We're getting a traveling exhibit from the Orphan Train Museum, and there's a lot of community members that that were descendants of people that were dropped off from the Orphan Train. And then we will also be getting a exhibit from the Tonganoxie area on the origins of Old 40 Highway that comes through here. So it should be interesting, and we can hopefully utilize some more interns again this summer to help our small staff stay open for the summer hours. So that will be fun. Coming up in the spring, we will have our 2nd annual trivia night, and the winners from last year are raring to defend their title. I don't know if you've been, if you guys go to the Paisley Pear one, every once in a while they have a trivia night, but it's like really fun. And we, so I think it's going to grow after this year to a bigger space. We hosted over in the community theater, but next year, the year after that, it might grow significantly, so that we will have more than 8 to 10 teams, and hopefully this will become our signature fundraiser piece. So we did double our fundraising efforts in just baking cookies. Last year, I think we made about, I don't know, $1,200. This year, we made over $3,000 in just cookies in 4 hours. So we are doing our part to try every way we can to raise some operating funds on the side. Just wanted to remind everyone that they're welcome to come down to our annual meeting, which is at the end of January, annual members meeting. All of our board members, we will be holding elections for officers and 3 trustee positions. However, the nomination that we put forth last night from the committee, everyone is still eligible to fulfill another term. So hopefully we'll be continuing with the great board that we've had for the past 3 years, that has made so much progress. So I'm excited about that. The other thing that we are bringing back in the spring that has been gone from Hayes and Ellis County for a number of years is the Pioneer Day that we hold for the children. It's usually a 2nd to 4th grade day, like a field day activity for students. We are going to host that again in May, and it's usually a 2-hour experience. We hope to get about 120 kids from area schools through that. First to sign up. Not all, we can't fit all of them. So we've always had a really nice time with that, and we have a lot of volunteers that are going to showcase different parts of the olden days. The olden days might vary. They might not be hand washing anymore. They might be how to use a rotary phone, but it'll change as it goes. So, and then I wanted to also, if anyone didn't hear, because it was such the talk of the town for a while that the rail had closed, and that is part of our mission, is to save some of the Ellis County history, and that was such an iconic place, and ECH was invited to come in and salvage some of the furniture and some of the things that made it so memorable to be in, or the atmosphere. So we hope to, someday when we open up a new spot, have a little more piece of modern history coming into our gallery. So, and then I know what everybody wants to hear about is all our construction and all of our capital campaigns, because as much as we're doing work on the side to remain relevant as a museum and as an organization, we have obviously large projects on the horizon, and I'm learning more about developing a building than I am about our artifacts or our county history. I'm learning more about city codes and building codes, but it's fun, and we've gone a long way. In the past 3 months, we've received 3 different large donations towards the capital campaign of Phase 2, which we are finishing up. We had a $10,000 donation from a Beach Edwards Foundation, which is out of Kansas City, the Beach family from around here. We also had Daryl Seibel challenge us to match his $18,000, and it turned into over $50,000 this fall, summer and fall. And then we also had, we received a grant award from Dane J. Hansen for $50,000. So we are on track for the money that we had raised. We revealed that last January 2023, at the end of January. We have raised all the money in that year, and as of like the second week of January, we will be finished with Phase 2 building projects, which was the ADA accessible parking on the rear of the building, the new ADA bathroom on that floor, and a curator lab to take care of all the artifacts. So that's very exciting. And then my other really exciting news is we met last night at our board meeting. Let me pause. We will be unveiling Phase 3, which is the final phase of before we can open the building to the public, the main floor of the building on 7th and Main. We will be unveiling those costs and what that project will look like at our annual meeting here in January, and gangbusters, hopefully we can do it in a year again. It's less intense than all the things that were going on in the basement. They have to finish up the HVAC system. We will be putting in another bathroom, but most of it is cosmetic. And we have a really cool fundraising opportunity for people to engage in, and I'll just leave it at that because it's a little bit of a secret. And I hope everybody gets as excited about it as I am. So then we spoke last week with the Victoria Community Coalition, and we've been in talks and planning for a sister site museum so that we can adequately tell 2 stories, and we can pull other visitors off the highway from other states, even internationally. The Volga German community has two international organizations in the country that both really call Ellis County a hub of where that all started. And so it was really beneficial for us to get a sister site. And we have a lease typed up, and we will be signing it this week. It's really exciting. So we have an initial 10-year plan to fix up the building, but after that it will be it's a bit mutually beneficial partnership with VCC, and essentially it will be a cash-free, rent-free situation as long as we maintain the building. There's lots of fun legal words in there that I don't like, but so I think it's beneficial for the county, it's beneficial for the city of Ellis, and it's exciting. And hold your breath, see if we can do it. If anybody has any questions, and I forgot to mention, upstairs we have nice new cabinets donated by our Diamond Jewelers and Jack and Nancy. Losing their last name now. That used to be furniture or jewelry counter displays. They look much nicer than the old ones you allowed us to put in the space upstairs. These ones are nice oak that match your trim up there, and we will be putting, I believe, more Wild West things in there. That we've had agriculture and Forte stuff, but we will be putting a little bit more of the notorious Wild West and saloon and barbershop kind of things in there, hopefully this week.
Very
Did I
good.
talk too fast for you? I feel like I'm spinning plates. It's that time of year, man.
Well, it sounds like you've been busy. Where do people go if they want to volunteer or help?
Walk in the door, or they can email me. But we have a couple serious I call them serious volunteers because I'm working part-time and they're there as much as I am almost. But we love it. We also have a high school class that comes once a month, or high school students that come once a month to make community hours or volunteer hours. So we skipped it this month because it's the holiday season, but every Tuesday night or every second Tuesday of the month in the evening we have a volunteer work night. It's from 6 to 8, and whatever project's on our agenda for that month or something that came up and we need help with, we put anybody that shows up to work. So it's been
Great. And then you've got a celebration coming up here in the next couple of years that you've been looking for ideas.
yes. Oh, yes. So, yes, thank you. He has been reading up on us. I love it. The sesquicentennial of the Volga Germans settling in Ellis County will happen in 2026. I know Ellis County itself had a sesquicentennial in 2017, I believe. The celebrations were, maybe smaller or whatever, but I do think that this is going to be a large celebration. Not only are we hosting the international convention for the ASHGR that year, this last one they had in Colorado had 300 to 350 attendees. We will be hosting that, and they're from all over. We had a group visit us from Nuremberg this fall in September, and they were part of a. There's been a shift over there where the Volga Germans that left Germany, or excuse me, the Germans that left Germany went to Russia, stayed for 100 years, then came over here. Some of them stayed in Russia, and we all know the horrible history. They got shipped to Siberia, or they didn't make it. The ones that did survive are now moving back into Germany. And there's the cultural center there that they call a Russian Germans or German Russians Cultural Center. And we were invited to partner with them and celebrate their new opening in Nuremberg. And that's where this display came from. And we're hoping that they will send quite a few delegates to visit us, because the 5 or 6 people that came were ecstatic to see that in the plains of Kansas of nowhere, they don't know, the United States all that well, that we celebrate it so openly and it's still vibrant. They were really excited to and honored to see that. So someday, maybe not my kids or even my peers care about it, but you'll care about it in 30 more years. So it's good to keep it in it, and to have it in the map for people to look on later. So thanks for reminding me.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda.
The only thing I have is, looks like you're having fun as what you're doing, and you're getting a lot of volunteer help, so.
Yeah, it's a challenge. Like I said, I'm learning more about developing a building, and then, I like the history. I like to just once in a while sneak into the archives and open up a box of old pictures, and then I lose about 3 hours of stuff I'm supposed to be doing. But there's so much stuff that hasn't been cataloged that is just fascinating to look through. But I guess I geek it out like that.
Keep up the good work and all your staff, so.
All right, all my
Appreciate it.
3 staff. So we're keeping it up. We're gonna find ways to make us all full time at some point. So thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Okay, fire truck lease, Darren?
Morning, Commissioners. Darren Myers, County Administrator. Next item on your agenda is to discuss possibly purchasing 2 fire trucks for the County Fire District. One is housed over in Victoria, and the other one would be over in Victoria, or in Ellis. As the Commission knows, several months ago, we had a pump failure at the engine over in Victoria. And it was already being budgeted and planned out at that time or spec'd out at that time to be replaced come January. Once we started looking at that and then started talking with Kelly Myers out at Hayes Fire Equipment, he started giving us some price estimates on the trucks, and which we'll talk about here in a bit. But the prices have significantly increased since the truck that we purchased 2 years ago. So I started running some math and looking at the time value of money between now and when the truck would be ordered, and just after, or just over the 2 years from the last truck that we purchased for the station here in Hayes, the price has increased over 33%. And as if we were to wait till January, the chassis, I believe, was going to go up 5%, and the body of the truck itself would be 6%. And that's possibly just one of multiple increases for next year. So we started looking at the engine over in Ellis and seeing what the interest rates would be as compared to if we just ordered 2 trucks instead of 1, and looking at how much they could potentially increase between now and when that truck would be ordered 3 years from now. And if we ordered it, we would actually save money by paying, depending on what the interest rates would be for the lease of 2 trucks. So with that, I put requests for proposals out to 9 different local banks, and then 1 bank participated out of Manhattan, and reviewed all the proposals when they came in, and Commerce Bank was selected as for your agenda item today, was selected as the best proposal that was given to us, and Michael Dries with Commerce Bank is in the audience as well as Kelly Myers from Hayes Fire Equipment, or Hayes Fire and Rescue. The proposal from Commerce Bank was for the lease of $800,000 to help with the purchase of 2 trucks. However, when we got the pricing in early this week, it was just over $866,000 for the 2 trucks. But we kept the proposal the same with the anticipation of leasing $800,000, and how that would be done if the commission would approve the project or the purchase of the 2 trucks. The financing would be finalized today with Commerce Bank, and then the funding would be put into an escrow account for several years. The estimated delivery date of the 2 trucks was about 580 days, 19 months, I believe is what it was. So the money would sit there in escrow, and we would pay an interest rate to Commerce Bank of 4.63. However, the money sitting in escrow until we would use it would be deposited into a money market account, which would garner about the same estimated interest rate that we're paying to the bank. There's only 0.2% difference. That's estimated. Obviously, that can fluctuate. But essentially, for those first 2 years, that money would sit there only, we'd only be paying about 0.2% interest, which is excellent. The proposals that we got back from the banks, they were between 4.63 was the lowest and 9% was the highest. So we put that proposal together, got all the lease documents together. Mr. Jeter reviewed them and put in his opinion letter in the document as well in your agenda. And the specs for the new truck are in your agenda packet as well, which I know you reviewed all 150 pages of them. But I do want to send an appreciation. We did go up to Lyons, South Dakota, which is just outside of Sioux Falls last week. We had 2 officers from the Ellis station and 2 officers from the Victoria station run up there. It was a quick 36 hours, just 14, 15 hours of driving. But we went up there one night, had a meeting, finalized all the specs. They answered all their questions and got the final proposal together this week, working with Kelly for the agenda packet today for you to consider. Like I said, I did offer Kelly Myers here to answer any questions if needed, as well as Michael Dries from Commerce Bank if there's any questions regarding the lease. And with that, I guess I'll answer any questions that you may have.
I would have Michael Dries, would you come to the podium? I got some questions on the interest. Gotta look, make
morning.
sure I'm looking at the right numbers here. So the interest on the loan itself at 4.63, that's a fixed interest throughout
Yes,
the loan?
yeah. Michael Dries from Commerce Bank, yes, that would be a fixed interest rate.
Okay. The money market interest at currently 4.43, that is not fixed though. That can fluctuate.
That'll fluctuate with the market.
Okay.
That would be as of like last week's number, but
Okay.
that could fluctuate, yes.
So it could go above the 4.63 that the loan is, and we'd essentially be making money.
Correct.
Is that
Yep.
possible? But
Yep.
it could
Yep.
certainly drop below.
Yep.
We don't know.
Depending
what
on
the
market,
rates-
yeah, it could go above.
Okay. Okay, I just wanted that clarification. I appreciate that.
So, for everybody out there listening or watching, the reason we're going as a county to the bank to secure this is we need the authority in our budget to purchase these fire trucks. Is that correct, Darren?
Correct. So as in January 24, the truck over in Victoria was the only one budgeted, and we have the partial amount of funds to do that. We didn't anticipate the trucks increasing over 33% in value, and then potentially even more after January. So with that, and working with Kelly, purchasing 2 trucks at the same time, there's that bigger gap that we need to finance. So we just put the proposal together to see what we would get, and that was why we just decided to put the proposal for both trucks to be financed. So that way, if the capital fund for the fire district wouldn't be completely just withdrawn to pay for one full truck and then gap the difference. That gives us some leeway. We still have other capital purchases to make in the future, in the coming years. And with the 5-year option that Commerce Bank provided, that won't impact those future budgets, and it won't impact having to raise the budget for the fire district significantly to make this purchase. We already had, so for instance, next year, a $215,000 transfer to capital. The lease payment for Commerce Bank, I don't remember the exact amount it's in there, is about $188,000. So we already have that money budgeted. We just won't be putting that much money into reserve. We'll just pay, of that $215,000, we'll pay $188 to Commerce, and the difference will go back into capital. But as I did state with probably each of you individually, because of the price of the increase of the trucks, our capital funds are going to have to be reworked. And when we work through the budget session next year, those funds, we're probably going to have to increase the amount that's transferred to reserve in the future years to be able to compensate for the next trucks to have to be replaced because everything's going up.
Yeah.
Well,
and
next
then-
truck's 2028, right? We're 24 and then 26 here. That's what we're
Yeah, those are those two.
2028's the third
The
truck.
third truck, which would be Engine 80 out of Shinshin, and they prefer that truck actually doesn't get replaced. It's a good truck. It's a little bit older, but it suits their purpose, and they're a bunch of farm boys out there, so they like that old truck.
But we only have budgeted for now, currently at $362,000.
Correct, and that's why I say we're
Probably
going to
way
have
under
to.
what it's going to cost in 2028.
Yeah, it could be a $600,000 truck by then. I mean, I hope not, but that's kind of what we're trying to eliminate by buying these two today to lower those future costs.
But I guess going back to our financing here and borrowing from a bank, excuse me, we're not taking leveraging taxpayer dollars and putting them just in a stock market. It's just to cover. This is not a high risk what we're doing.
No, the lease purchase with Commerce basically will borrow the 800,000 and they'll basically move it from one account to the other essentially, and then it starts gaining that interest.
Okay.
And then back to Michael's question, that the difference between the two, that's only as good essentially as the money is in that account. Once we'll pay about a year from now, delivery of the chassis, I believe, is what is anticipated, and then 2 years from now, 20 months, is when the trucks would be completed. So that $800,000 balance will gain interest, but we'll be paying the lease payment. But when the chassis is delivered, they're giving us about a $6,000 discount to pay the chassis up front upon delivery. So we'll take the money out of the Commerce Bank account and pay those chassis prices. And then when the trucks are delivered 2 years from now, the remaining balance plus any interest that is gained will pay off the trucks for delivery. So then after that point, that money market or escrow account will essentially close, and then we'll be paying that 4.63% on top of that. But it's also on a smaller balance at that point.
How many
as well.
years is that then?
It's a 5-year.
That's 5 years from that. So from the point of so it's essentially 7 years over, but we'll be paying 5 years on the 4.63.
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Jeter, is there any legal concerns on a lease agreement like this? Okay.
Bill Jeter, County Councilor, that's a statutory authorized process
Okay.
to, in a way, get around the cash basis law, which allows municipalities to do cash or lease purchase agreements, which we've done numerous times in the past.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, the hindsight's always easier. Should have bought them last year, but it's already telling us now for 25, look what it's going to do. What's 26 going to bring in 27, like 28, like Commissioner Burgess said. So we've got to step up and we've got to do this because that's for our safety of our community. We have another truck go down or something, and we're really in a bad situation. So.
The good thing with this option, if approved, is it's not going to necessarily impact our capital into the future. And if we'll still allow to gain a balance and grow a balance in there in the coming years. So that way, I think I was mentioning to Nathan, Commissioner Liker, is I believe also in 2 years from now, is we're scheduled to replace 2 of the brush trucks, one in Ellis and one in Victoria as well. And those are the trucks that get ran the hardest out in the fields and the most often, so can't really push anything back, and with not running into more of a risk of having another truck break down.
And are we, the trucks that we're replacing, so the one has a failure, but are we purple waving them, are we selling them, or?
So since we're two years out, yeah, the options will be come back to the commission in the future. The truck that's down, I keep waiting for a call from Kelly every day saying that the motor shipped from Austria. Still haven't got it yet, but it actually has to come from overseas. That's how rare and it is. They actually don't even make it more. They have to cast the block and everything. But once the new trucks get delivered, the plan would be most likely maybe not necessarily sell them on Purple Wave, but look at a brokerage firm or just advertising them to see if we could get something to sell them, because they're going to have a little bit more value than the other trucks that we've had in the past. The last trucks that we've sold were like the 1978 Internationals that really carried no true value. They were all bought and used as farm feed trucks. So the one engine 40 that we have to replace the pump in, it's going to have a brand new pump, so hopefully it'll be a little bit more marketable, and we'll be able to sell those and have those funds back to put back in to help reimburse part of these expenses. But I don't think Kelly and I have visited about it a little bit. I've tried to talk him into buying them from us. He just smiles at me every time. But we'll have to see when it gets to that point. They probably won't be worth 10% of what we're purchasing these for. And that's also 2 years from now. They'll be 2 years older.
Okay.
Question with that being brought up of ordering parts from overseas. These trucks that we're going to purchase or look to purchase here and build, will those more be locally sourced or easy available parts, or are we going to still have to look at overseas suppliers?
I believe the Watrous pumps, that's all supplied here in America, which is a completely different pump than what we have. It's
Okay.
completely different. It's a PTO-driven pump, but it's also a different style of pump, which is a Watrous. The ones that we had are high pressure, and they were, I believe they're even a Rosenbauer pump itself.
Okay,
So completely different and more available.
okay, good to know.
You know, it's hard to say, but the Victoria one, on all the people that are, you know, when you look and see who's all's called out on the thing, looks like that truck gets a lot of use. Is that easy to say, or is that fair?
When you look between engine 40 and engine 60, which 40 is Victoria, 60 is over in Ellis. When you look at the Wildland calls, so it's kind of a difficult story to answer, really. But when you look at the Wildland type fire calls, which is our highest priority of calls, about 26-28% of the calls we respond to. But a lot of those, as you all know, are in northeast Ellis County. The larger ones, I guess. That's not necessarily the most common place, but that is Victoria's area. So that was one thing that we took into consideration. This is a little bit different truck than engine 50. The body is the exact same, but it's only a single cab, so it's a shorter truck, which is going to be able to maneuver a little bit out into those hills. But it's not necessarily the same type of truck as a brush truck that's easy to maneuver in the ravines and the valleys, the hills, as a full engine. And then one of the other things that we tried to do to preserve the length of these fire engines, as you know, they're expensive, to extend the life on them. Several years ago, we started replacing, we took all the rescue tools off the engines and we put them on essentially a rescue or a brush truck. So that way it's a cheaper truck that's getting called out more often, and it's saving the engines, not getting wore up and responding to all the structure fires and all the rescue calls. We started putting the loads on the F550 chassis or the Dodge, the Chevy, smaller trucks to help. It's been nice. Like I said, we don't have to have those big trucks out as often. When they break down, they're more expensive to fix as well.
Okay,
Gotcha.
all right, thank you.
With that, I'll move to approve resolution 23-24 and PO number 7782 for the purchase of 2 fire engines and allow the county administrator to sign the attached documents.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Thanks, gentlemen. Okay. End of year transfers, Darren?
Sorry, I was trying to
Oh.
tell them thank you before they left.
Yeah, thank you.
I didn't realize I'm on the next agenda already. The next item is to look at the end-of-year transfers for the county, and this is for the entire county, from the general fund to the fire district to solid waste enterprise fund. There's 2 pieces to this. I'll just change the screen. The top half of the chart that you see, the 2.987 million, those are budgeted transfers, so those are within individual departments' budgets that are specified within their budget authority to be transferred at the end of the year. These numbers wouldn't necessarily have grown, but as the commission knows, we've tried to work more with the department heads to fund their capital better, to have money set aside for capital purchases, and that's essentially what this is. However, part of it is also the sales tax transfers that we have. When we collect all the sales taxes for either the general sales tax or the healthcare sales tax, it all goes into 2 separate funds for clear transparency. And then once it's in there, it's transferred into the general fund as budgeted. So that's what that 2.9 million is. That is a little bit lighter than the last couple of years. And the reason, because of that, is the last couple of years, we've been putting money aside and budgeting to transfer to Fund 6 for the Public Works facility. Since the commission has approved that project and they're already pouring concrete out there, we transferred that $3.6 million earlier this year to Fund 6 to have that money in there. So that's why that top number is a little bit smaller than previous years. The bottom list of the 1.5 million, what this is per our budget policy, if a department has, I'll just say any department has $100,000 left within their budget, our budget policy says that 50% of that can be transferred into their Fund 16 account, which is their capital equipment reserve. So for instance, if that fund was for Public Works, they had 100,000 left, 50% of that would be transferred into their Fund 16 account to purchase a new grader, dump truck, whatever, and those funds are built up every year. And these are funds that are additional to what may be budgeted if a department also has budgeted. And then the final two numbers below that 1.5 million, those are the individual funds for the fire district and for solid waste. One thing to point out on all these numbers at the bottom of that spreadsheet is these are all estimates. They're all projected for what the budgets are looking like for the end of November of this year. So I calculated these last week. A lot of departments, for instance, Public Works, POs does a lot of purchase orders at the end of the year. They buy, I'm not sure if they're doing them all this year, but they buy the oil for the next year's asphalt season, the paint for striping, the rocks for chip sealing, the sand, possibly culverts. So it's a good estimate on trying to get where we're at. Most likely these numbers will be smaller than what you see of this 1.5 million, but this is an estimate of where we're at. At this point, there was not one single department that's looking to be over budget at this point, which is even better news. So one thing that I did not add into here that I just wanted to clarify, in visiting with the sheriff, he is also on vacation this week. Otherwise, I would ask him to be here. But earlier in the year, the commission approved the fees that they collect for fingerprinting. Starting in January of next year, that's only, 2 weeks away, actually. Their fingerprint fees that they collect will go into a separate new fund, in which all those funds will be in there, and those will be used to replace their fingerprint machines. That's starting in January. However, as of this year, they've already collected about $6,924.20 of fingerprint fees to date. That's as of the end of November. We would ask that we would also have those transferred over to, as the commission has intended earlier this year, into that separate fund. And then that's only this one time because that was a mid-year change. And then in future years, they'll all just be in there. And that fund will gain the fees collected to replace their live scan machines. And I believe those were about a $25,000 per machine, and they have 2 of them. So with that, I will, I guess one last thing, sorry. The Public Works and our individual discussions that we've had in the past, we haven't really talked about it as a group. I wanted to make sure the transfer to Public Works, I have down at estimated $433,160. That's different from all the other departments. As the commission knows, they have a lot more equipment and a lot more machinery, which are very expensive. So instead of doing a 50% transfer for them, that $433,000 is actually 75% of their remaining budget authority. So that way we can help build their balance a little bit more. But so then in the future, for future years, we're going to try to increase a budgeted line amount so that way they don't have to depend on just what's left over at the end of the year, and they can better properly budget for those expenses into the future. So with that, I will be quiet and see if you have any questions.
No, I think
Nothing?
it's kind of where we're playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I'm good with it. I'm glad to see reserves, anything going in reserves at this time. So
Right.
that works.
The numbers at the front, or at the top that are budgeted, that 2.9 million, those will be done today. I'll fill out the paperwork. I've actually already got it started. The numbers at the bottom, those are year-end numbers, and our year-end actually doesn't stop until about February because we have several voucher periods for department heads to charge back bills that accrued. So if you purchase something December 28th, you may not get the bill until January 15th. There's a 13th month that we use to charge back. So these bottom numbers won't actually get done until late February, early March, until we have what those most accurate year-end numbers will be.
Got it.
Okay.
Do we need to make special notation on the transfer of funds from the sheriff department for fingerprints?
I wouldn't believe so. That was already approved earlier this year. I just wanted to make sure that the commission was aware of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. That's what the intent is. I don't
Right.
think we're violating that, so that works. So I'll move to authorize the county administrator to make the 2023 year-end transfers as listed on the attached spreadsheet.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Thanks, gentlemen. Okay, County Commissioner report. I'm sorry, Administrator report.
If I've spoken long enough, you just want to skip
No.
over me?
We still have time.
I do have a couple things this morning. First, I wanted to congratulate 3 of our county employees, our Deputy Treasurer, Amanda Shannon, and our Environmental Services Director, Justin Craig, and our County Sheriff, Scott Brown. They all completed the Certified Public Manager program with KU throughout the course of 2023. When we were actually in South Dakota last week trying to get the truck specs finalized, I was unable to visit their graduation. It's usually at the State House in Topeka. This year they moved it to Lawrence, unfortunately. But I wanted to just give them a shout out for their accomplishments. It's over 300 hours that they dedicated throughout the year to become better managers and leaders for Ellis County. So congratulations to Amanda Shannon, Scott Brown, and Justin Craig. I'm proud of their work and proud to announce that we also have another individual that's going to be attending it next year as well. And we're trying to push for, I guess it'll be 2025, to see if we can host a regional CPM class here in Hayes. It's been about 10 years since they've had it here, and if we do that, we have several employees, more than normal, that will hopefully get to be able to do that because it'll be more convenient for them while it's here in town. So good job for them. As the commissioners know, we had individual meetings last week in regards to the Public Works facility, and just want to let you know that just to make sure that the commission is okay for us to engage the architect, GLMV, to start looking at a stem wall around the noxious weed and Public Works cold storage building, and get some proposals back for the commission to consider a change order to build that stem wall, and then also a containment area for the noxious weed garage portion of that. So I know we had, or Public Works and myself, we all had our individual meetings with you, and I just wanted to make sure that that was the intent that the commission would like us to proceed with at this point.
I'm good with proceeding.
I am too.
That works.
Doesn't commit us to anything. We'll probably have a little bit of engineering fees to put the proposal together, but once we have the proposal back, and then the general contractor can work through it and give us a price, it'll come back to the commission for approval or denial.
Only one way to find out on a project like that.
And then last item is just want to remind you that the Ellis County Holiday Appreciation Dinner for the employees is this Saturday out at the fairgrounds. And I just wanted to thank the commission for your support for allowing us to buy the meat for the dinner. It's a potluck, but thank you for allowing us to continue that. And I think Bobby asked before the meeting, we're going to have over 200 people there. Their employees, their spouses, and some family members. So thank you for allowing that, and we'll see you on Saturday evening.
Okay, I would just like to add, I did congratulate the 3 individuals also, and it shows it right here in black and white that we got good head departments that are conservative, and I just like to thank all of our staff for what they do. So. Okay, county commission reports.
Well, it's kind of busy here over the past week. Well attended with the three of you, the KAC meeting down in Wichita. Learned a lot and a lot of good conversations with other counties. I would also like to say that Friday I attended virtually the Kansas Workforce One annual meeting. Things are going well on that. It's a board that I sit on behalf of our commission, and it does a lot with employment opportunities throughout the state. So if a worker, an employer closes down or leaves, it helps those workers find new employment or retrains them. It's also involved heavily with, they call it judicial involved individuals find work. So they're trying to keep Kansas working, and they're doing a wonderful job from what I've seen.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Burgess?
Yeah, I attended the KAC as well last week for 2.5 days. Good information on county work. Happy 19th anniversary to my wife Erica, and I think Mr. David Klingon and Jessica, did I see it's your 25th anniversary? So congratulations to you. Hell of a place to start our anniversary days, right?
I too attended the KAC. Like I say, a lot of good conversation. You know, interact with the other counties, see kind of what they do and what we do. Very good. And I guess I just want to ask the two commissioners if there was anything that was outstanding that they would like to share, or if not, then we're good with that too.
I would like to say one comment that was suggested to me at KAC was we have a lot of counties that actually follow us virtually, and I would like to give them a shout out. And then another comment that was made was, I don't know if it's good or bad, but it was alluded to earlier by our public comment, was we are one of the youngest commissions in the state of Kansas. Good, bad, or indifferent. So.
I'd probably echo that. I received a lot of, not offhand comments, but from other commissioners that kind of follow our county, follow what we do with an administrator, follow what we've tried to do with our road and bridge plan and budgeting, and what our discussion on how we're going to handle roads and bridges. And I was kind of surprised that some of the surrounding counties are looking at us, and kind of that compliment too of just some younger people on the commission. So kind of interesting. So I guess we're doing good work.
I would just like to bring the AI thing, which a lot of people in the farming industry know. Commissioner Liker and I, we both chose the same thing. Well, then come to find out after it was over with, he's already has that in his practice. So pretty interesting to do that. But yeah.
What government will be 10 years from now on the way people respond, fire calls, police calls, because of the technology and where it's going, is going to be incredible. So
It's
stay
cool.
tuned.
It's cool, but it's almost scary. But I think it's there. It'll be
It's
there, and it's going to take a lot of funding.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah. No,
Okay.
and like I say, Mr. Liker said that too. I was in that conversation, so we are being watched, which is good. We're, I guess, leading example, and they're all watching, which is great.
Okay, well, with that, I will move the Board of County Commissioners recess to executive session for 15 minutes under the following exception of the Kansas Open Meetings Act pursuant to the non-elected personnel matter exception. The subject to be discussed during the executive session is personnel matter. The open session will resume at 9:40.
Second.
Those in addition to the Board of County Commissioners are Bill Jeter and Darren Myers.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. Here we go to the executive.
Done, right?
Yeah.
Meeting adjourned at 9:44.
Anyway, Commissioners, I want to apologize for speaking as Diana was speaking.